bin's Jess Lohman, and welcome to my channel. Thank you for coming in. I would like to talk to you today about the supermoon, the full moon in Scorpio, which is going to peak in a few hours at like 11:33 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Standard Time, and 5:33 p.m. my time, CET, so Central European Time, because I'm in Germany. And this supermoon, first of all, what a supermoon is when it's closest to the Earth at the same time it's a full moon. So at sunset, it appears really, really large, and it even brings more energy pull down to Earth. So what the supermoon is bringing is a lot of fiery energy, a lot of impulsiveness, life-changing decisions are gonna be like coming to us, and you know, we may like say, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore, I gotta change everything. Like seriously, a lot of emotional energy is coming during this time right now. Anyway, what I did, again, like I did the past two moons, the new moon 2 weeks ago and the full moon a month ago, I called upon my animal spirit guides to help us through this time and share their messages and their lessons. And guess who showed up? Guess who showed up? Bear. Bear showed up. He was the first one. And then Ouroboros. So yeah, let me talk about each one now individually. The bear is an amazing animal spirit guide. And in the shamanic realm, the bear is one of the most used and powerful symbols for intuition, instinct, and either nurturing. So yeah, let's talk about the bear. First of all, in real life, there are 8 species, and you know, when I think of bear, I usually think of like the grizzly bear, the brown bear, or the black bear. I don't necessarily think about the polar bear or the panda bear, the giant panda, because those to me are like, they're their own species, and they have, you know, their own lessons. Even in the spiritual world, they have their own gifts and lessons and have something to tell us which is different than the other species, the other 6 species of bear. So today I'll just basically be talking about, you know, the brown bears, the grizzlies, and those kind of bears that we normally associate with bear. And maybe later the polar bear will show up, or the panda bear, so we'll see what happens. And I don't know if you know this, I heard this like, I don't know, maybe a couple years ago, but bears are closely related to seals. I did not know that. I mean, I think, you know, I did, yeah, to me that's not like a normal relation, but yeah, they also descended from Miacids. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Those were mammals who lived with the dinosaurs 27 million years ago. They've been around for a long time, and they could basically live everywhere almost. Like, they're indigenous to Europe, North and South America, Asia, the Arctic, not Antarctic, but the Arctic, the polar bears, right? And their habitat depends upon their species. Like, polar bears live in the Arctic, but you know, the black bears, they need extensive woodland areas, they need lowlands and wetlands, and the grizzly bears need prairies, foothills, grasslands, or thick rainforests. So it depends upon the species as to where they live. And I didn't know this too, but it totally makes sense. They have 2 layers of coat, of fur. So the first layer is a short layer, and that keeps them warm. And the second layer is the long layer that we see, and that keeps the water off their skin. I mean, they still obviously get wet, right, if they're in water for a long time, like a Labrador too, but their coat, you know, kind of repels water. So that was kind of interesting. And bears are amazing swimmers. They can swim up to 100 miles without taking a break. That's, wow, yeah. I mean, they're powerful animals. We all know that. And unfortunately, they're feared. They're disrespected. In many cultures, they're also, in the spiritual world, like I said, they're also very respected and very honored. And, you know, their symbolism, their symbols for introspection, intuition, instinct, and they're also balancers of nature. So they restore harmony and balance in nature as well as in your own internal energy field. So, yeah. Conservation, what can we say about that? 6 of the 8 species are either heavily threatened or endangered. And when I say endangered, that doesn't always mean that there are no more walking around in the wild anymore. That's not true. But they're at the tipping point where they, in time, you know, once they die out, they won't be able to produce enough to keep their species alive. The polar bear is the mascot for climate action. Yeah, and a lot of bears are victims of wildlife crimes. They're taken from their homes and put in biofarms. They're bred actually, and they're called biofarms, bear biofarms, and their bile is extracted from their gallbladders. It's horrible. That is done in Asia because, you know, they just believe, there are some cultures that believe that you know, their healing parts, their healing body parts can heal their cancer. It's an aphrodisiac, heal their troubles. It's so not true. And it's horrible what bears and pangolins and rhinos and elephants, I mean, they have to go through these horrible deaths, and you know, we're driving them into extinction because people believe that they will heal their illness, which is not true. And it's hard to get through to them that it's not true. We're also depleting their habitats with farming, excessive farming, and you know, building our suburbs and whatever. So there are many organizations out there. I'm not going to name any particular one because I don't personally work with one. I work with other organizations. I can't work with them all, but yeah, if you are interested in helping to save the bears, you know, try to search for an organization that works locally with the bears and works with the people also locally. Work with them, volunteer with them as best you can. Because sometimes just donating to an organization doesn't really help you. For me, I have to get to know the organization before I want to donate to them, to make sure that my money is going to, you know, going to the animals and not going to pay the CEO's salary. I just, you know, everybody needs to get paid, but sometimes it's out of proportion of what it should be, in my honest opinion. So vet the organizations that you do donate to. Yeah. So that said, what can we learn from bear? It looks like a black bear, but yeah. I'm not really sure if that's a black or brown. It doesn't look like a grizzly nut in this picture anyway. By the way, these cards are from Kelly Eckert. I will leave a link down the bottom. I love them. They're a beautiful size. They're big enough. And what I do when I shuffle, I ask who wants to help us during this particular period of time. And now it was a supermoon. Tonight, and yeah, so as I was shuffling, the bear just popped out, and then I asked again if there's anybody else who wants to help us, and then the Ouroboros came out. So yeah, beautiful. So what can we learn from the bear? I call the bear the nature's manager, because she brings balance between gentleness and ferocity, and a bear does actually play a major role in keeping balance in nature. They spread seeds through their feces, they eat them, they keep pests under control. They basically eat everything. They eat meat, they eat insects, they eat honey, they eat fruits and vegetables, mostly a lot of fruits and vegetables, so they do spread those seeds. The polar bears are the only bear species that only eats meat, carnivorous. So the other bears are omnivorous, so that's interesting to know too. And with the bear, like, they are gentle, they're nurturing. You see maybe documentaries. We don't get to see the wild bear that often because they're very solitary animals. But when we see documentaries, you can see how they care for their children. It's an amazing show to watch. I love it. But of course, with many other animals as well, if you threaten a mama's bear young, you better watch out, because you definitely don't want to get too close. You definitely don't want to get in her way, because she will fight, and you are not going to win that fight, obviously, right? We all know this. But generally speaking, they're gentle. So basically, if I speak from mama bear energy, from that feminine protective energy, they fight when it's absolutely necessary, but for the most part, they're gentle. Now, grizzly bears are a little bit more aggressive. They tend to snap earlier than the black and the brown bears, but still, yeah, they don't fight when it's not necessary. And another good thing, another really cool thing, is that they help us with our personal transformation. Hibernation, right? Bears hibernate. And hibernation is a spiritual symbol of rebirth and realignment and emerging in the spring as being changed and being balanced. Now when bears come out of hibernation, after several months of just sleeping, they're like not totally with it. They can't just like wake up and woo, here I am, spring is sprung, blah, blah, blah. There's a little bit of grogginess, there's a little bit of fuzziness, clumsiness probably too, they have to get their strength back. They have, their weight is decreased, right? So they have to get their strength back, they have to eat again, and be able to walk again. And so that basically tells us that at first, like when we go on a spiritual journey, at first it might be clumsy. We might, be unsure about, how to go about this. But it will get better, and it's definitely worth it. So, when spring comes, it's just it's also an amazing show to watch, right? The bees, the birds, the flowers, and everything's just beautiful. So it's definitely worth the struggle. That is the message here. The journey, the beginning of any journey really is a little, maybe clumsy, just because you're unsure as to how it's going to play out, but in the end, it'll be fine. And one thing as a challenge to this, to the idea of hibernation, is you don't want to hibernate too long. You don't want to miss out on an opportunity. Like if spring's there, then boom, wake up, do your thing, go, do what you need to do so that you can get your strength. You don't want to stay in hibernation forever because you will miss an opportunity or, many opportunities, and you will not be able to grow that way. Jungle Book with Baloo. I love this song, Bare Necessities. And right before he sings it, you can tell that Baloo's from Long Island or New York. You can tell. I'm from Long Island. I was born and raised on Long Island. And you could tell by his accent that he's also from Long Island or New York City. And there's this one, my German friends, a German friend just asked me recently, well, what does britches mean? And that's a word I never heard in the South when I moved down in the South, or anywhere else in the States. So it might just be up there in upstate, in the Northeast. But yeah, little britches. Baloo says this little quote right before he goes into talking about bare necessities. But before I do that, britches, basically it's just like pants. Like it's another word for pants, jeans or whatever. So anyway, so he says, let me tell you something, little britches. If you act like the bee acts, you're working too hard. And don't spend your time just looking around for something you want that can't be found. So I love this message. Bear is telling you to only spend time on what's important, what's really important, and don't overwork yourself. Like Baloo is a little lazy, right? He just goes on the river on his back and just, or rubs his back on the tree, and he doesn't waste his time with unnecessary stuff. He does what he needs to do. He's like the perfect example of the 80-20% rule, like do 20% of the work to achieve 80% of the results. He is the perfect example. Baloo and Bear in general. So of course he did not say in the film that bees are super important and their work is needed for all of us to survive on this planet. But what he's basically saying is the bees just like working too hard. He sees the results in the honey, Baloo does, but basically the bees work smart because they work together. Everybody has their own, job, but the spirit of the bee is also like, you got to work hard to be able to produce what you need to do. But Baloo is basically saying, work smart, not hard, right? So, yeah, and also introspection. Bears are prime examples for delving into your intuition and looking into yourself for answers. They're solitary animals, and so they don't need to ask expert advice. They know exactly what they're doing. They are able, because they hibernate, because they take the time and they're chill, right? Bears are chill. They spend a lot of time with themselves and a lot of time, just pondering, and that's their message. During this time of the supermoon, that's so important, to maybe not just jump right into something. If you feel this energy like, oh my God, I gotta make this life-changing decision, I can't take this anymore. The bear is saying, hey, chill, calm down, take a step down, come back to earth, look into yourself. Is that really what you want? Now, if you've been preparing for it for a long time, now this is the chance. Don't stay in hibernation. Take that chance. Spring is now here. Go for it. But if this is just like a spur of the moment, oh, I don't like this anymore, I gotta change this, and it's like a big decision, whoa, take your time first, right? That's basically what he's saying. And do your thing, definitely. Like the bear is, like I said, the bear just does what he wants. He doesn't listen to anybody else. Some questions you can ask yourself is, how can I make a habit to spend time with myself? Sometimes it's hard to, right? If you have a family and, everybody's demanding your time, take time out every single day to spend with yourself in quiet. Have your own sacred room. This, by the way, is my meditation, yoga, reading room, and now my video room. I love this room. It's small but big enough. I'm able to do my yoga right here. Here you can't see it, but that's where I do my yoga. Here's where I sit and read, or I have a lounge chair over there, and and it's my space. It's my space. When the door's closed, nobody comes in, and I don't, I'm not in here all day, but I do take my time and spend time with myself. Also, another question is, what is my intuition telling me? And when you take that time, then you can hear what your heart really wants, what your soul really wants. How can I relax more? Right? Chill. What skill do I need to strengthen, to grow? And what do I need to lay rest in order to balance myself? So those are a couple of questions. So call on bear energy during this time, especially if you feel this energy like calling out to you to make some crazy, it doesn't have to be crazy. I mean, crazy is good too. But before you make a final decision, before you make a decision that may change your life, it could be good, it could be bad. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you're making the right decision. But like I said, if you've prepared for a long time, this is the time to maybe do it, right? So, Ouroboros. Now, it might be hard to see. I'll zoom in a little bit. But this is it's a spiritual and mystical creature. This animal does not exist in the real world. It's in the imaginary world, but for me it's just as real. And as Kelly Eckert also explains, if you believe, if you imagine that it's real, that will give you more gifts and more messages that you can live by, and that is a benefit. You don't want to get rid of your imagination even when you grow up. No, you want to be creative. You want to imagine. You want to dream. So the Ouroboros is it's one of the oldest symbols of all time. It originated in ancient Egypt. It was actually, the first appearance was found in King Tut's tomb in 1323 BC. So I did not know that until I researched this a few weeks ago. And what the Ouroboros is either a snake or a dragon consuming her own tail. So it's quite interesting, and it has several meanings, so let me go into that. Infinity, that's maybe the first thing that people think of when they think of Ouroboros. The tail and head are connected, like she's consuming her tail. And it doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. It's neither good or bad. It's just like the beginning of the end. Neither is better or stronger. They're not competing with each other. They're not overpowering each other. Basically, the two sides meet and they're joined together. And because she's consuming it, she's not cutting it off and destroying her tail. She's consuming it. It's becoming part of her over and over and over again. It's a never-ending story. It's the circle of life, right? It's the continuum of movement. And that also means like regeneration, rebirth, birth. She's the master of destruction and creation at the same time, like, because it looks like she's destroying it, but she's not, because she's just creating it again. You are what you eat, right, type of thing. It's the endless cycle of life. Also, it symbolizes the permanent fusion of sulfur and mercury, which creates the philosopher's stone in order to make the elixir of life. I learned that too just recently. I did not know that. So also the Ouroboros is a symbol of integrating the dualities of existence, the yin, the yang, the light, the shadow, where, like I said, neither is good or bad. We need our shadow sides. We need the light. Bats need dark to be able to eat. Our eyes need the dark so that they can develop as a child. And, just like our shadow sides, we need our shadow sides just as much as we need our light sides. People call them weaknesses, but without them, we're not ourselves. So, this is a message from Ouroboros to know yourself and accept that you have all these other sides, and that we need everything to be able to understand our own power. All these dualities, they lie within us, the feminine and the masculine. Every female has masculine energy and vice versa. It's not versus. We need both. One challenge with the Ouroboros is not knowing when to stop. Just when you keep on going around in circles. Like, you could do that in conversations and just going on and on and on and on and not getting to the point, or you could do that in many different aspects of your life. So that is a challenge. Know when to stop. And, it could be a project, or it could be in a relationship, or just an idea. Know when to stop, and know when something no longer serves you, and to be able to move forward and not just keep on going around in circles. The Ouroboros is the perfect guide when, the message should be that everything is an endless cycle of life. And if you accept this, fear is unnecessary, because, even like in our daily routine, it's, most of the things that we have fear about, it's not even necessary, because it's not a life and death situation. Sure, we might not be as successful as we want to be if we do this project, but if you don't do it, you don't know, type of thing. So, we have totally so many unnecessary fears that this keeps us from moving forward, and that's so sad. We tend to stop and block ourselves because we're worried. We're worried what could happen. The Ouroboros is saying, don't be scared. It's unnecessary. We are in an endless cycle of life. So why worry about it? Kind of like the bear, like chill, chill. It's okay. Everything's okay. So with this energy, with this supermoon intense energy right now that we might be feeling, both of these guides are saying, chill, right? Don't worry about it. Just keep on moving. You'll be okay. Look into your heart and soul. Figure out what you want to do, and just take the next step forward. The perfect guides for us during this time, and I'm so grateful that they showed up. So thank you, Bear. Thank you, Ouroboros. I hope this resonates with you. Please let me know if it does in the comments below. I will also post a link to the article that I wrote about it where you can get more information. And I also give personal animal spirit guide readings. So if you want to learn who your personal animal spirit guides are at any particular time of your life, just let me know. I'll put a link also in the bottom. It's a great way to find out, what you need at any particular time in your life. Whether you're struggling with something, whether you're just curious about something, whether you are having a relationship that you want to strengthen, or whether you have a project at work or wherever, Animal spirits can help us in any time of our lives, and we can call upon them. And I've been doing this for several years now, and it's been so much fun. And every time I do this with somebody, it totally resonates. They can see themselves in it. And it really helps them. It gives them ideas. It gives them reasons why certain things are the way they are. And so, so go ahead and book your personal reading. I'd love to meet your guides and love to meet you. And let's breathe during this full moon, supermoon energy in Scorpio. And that will peak later tonight. I will see you next time. If you have any questions, also write them in the comments. Subscribe, share with your friends, and thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. Bye.